sitting in a cell for 17 months without knowing what you are being accused of. That is reality in today's Turkey. Osman Kavala was arrested October 2017, a leading figure in Turkey's civil society and one of the many victims of President Erdogan's witch hunt against his critics. Severe human rights violations continue. The rule of law has been dismantled. Turkey is the record holder of jailed journalists, and on top of that, the new constitution consolidates Erdogan's authoritarianism. That is why we asked the Council to formally suspend the accession talks with Turkey.
Hundreds of thousands fired from their jobs or arrested. Abuse of the state of emergency and counter-terrorism measures. Limitations to press and internet freedom. Trumped-up charges to accuse civil society leaders such as Osman Kavala. All in all, the core principles are at stake. The independence of the judiciary, separation of powers and the rule of law. And these impact the opposition, women, LGBT people, journalists, religious minorities, human rights defenders and other minorities disproportionately. But really, everybody in Turkey, whether openly or quietly in their hearts, knows what is going on and fears what may still come.
My group would like to see a final end being put to the accession agreements, and I would support that. And then we could use the pre-accession funding to, through different channels, to support civil society in Turkey.
Hundreds of thousands of people in Turkey are suffering from the fundamental violations of human rights. It is high time that the European Union sends out a clear signal and that the negotiations, which are basically suspended, should be formally cancelled.
Turkey, for years, has demonstrated that they are sliding towards Islamization. It's being seen in society and in Turkey's influence in Europe, that occupation of Cyprus, that unfair, unjust treatment of people. So we need to be clear, we need to be honest. They are never going to be members of the European Union. Let's say that clearly.
But the ball is still firmly in the hands of Council, that over these last years they've taken the very brave political choice of doing nothing whatsoever, hoping that maybe things would improve off their own bat. That's unrealistic and it's hypocritical, and it helps us not at all.
Under the current administration, Turkey is further away from EU accession today than it was when it applied so many years ago. There can be no real democracy without media freedom, and the case of Pelin Ünker shows the state of democracy in Turkey. Pelin Ünker is part of the International Consortium of Investigative Journalists, and she was one of the journalists who reported on the scandal, Paradise Papers scandal. The facts that she reported are not disputed, and she is now facing a 13-month prison sentence and multiple fines, all because the subjects of her reporting were politicians at the highest levels of power in the Turkish government.
The final straw has been the constitutional reform, which had changed the face of Turkey from democratic to monolithic. So we need to send a message today. Erdogan is not Turkey. We need channels of dialogue and communication.
The only solution to make Turkey comply is to impose sanctions, diplomatic and economic. This is the only solution here and now. Immediate interruption of talks with Turkey and stopping any financing of the EU to Turkey. Thank you.